Have you ever wondered why your neighbor's 30-year-old Camry with 400,000 miles on it still runs smoothly while brand new cars develop electrical problems before their first oil change? Today we're going to explore the evolution of the automotive industry and understand why cars capable of reaching 1 million miles were built 30 years ago, while modern vehicles, despite huge technological advances, will never achieve the same level of reliability. And to understand what changed, we need to go back to an era when car companies spent billions just to prove they could build something perfect. The golden age of over-engineering. Understanding what we lost requires looking at what automakers used to do, and the 1989 Lexus LS400 captures everything that era got right about building cars meant to last. Ichiro Suzuki served as chief engineer on a project that consumed 6 years and over $1 billion, with a team of 1,400 engineers and 2,300 technicians working under him. That billion-dollar budget produced 973 prototype engines, more than 450 prototype vehicles, and over 100 crash-tested cars before a single production unit left the factory floor. $1 billion for one car model. Tom Cordner worked on the advertising side and sat through those engineering meetings, and his memory of them stayed vivid. They showed us not just every rivet, weld, and seam, but the thought that went into each of these parts. Suzuki's philosophy came down to one simple goal. The LS400 should feel identical at 50,000 miles to how it felt rolling off the assembly line. Welds running 1.5 times stronger than industry standard, and the world's first laser welding application on a production vehicle made that goal possible. Launch day brought a $35,000 price tag, exactly half what Mercedes charged for a comparable S-Class. And that's when BMW executives started accusing Lexus of selling below cost to destroy the competition. What happened at Mercedes tells you everything about where the industry headed next. Wolfgang Peter, their chief engineer, lost his job after last-minute improvements designed to match Lexus, pushed the W140 S-Class over budget, and forced a $72,000 launch price. And that's when Mercedes made a decision that changed the entire industry. Al Bedwell, research manager at J.D. Power LMC, put it bluntly. Mercedes's quality issues are a byproduct of a decision in the early 1990s to focus more on what consumers want rather than engineers. Engineering-driven gave way to market-driven design, and that shift spread everywhere. Japanese manufacturers resisted longer than most. Consumer Reports data from this era show Japanese vehicles posting a 50% lower failure rate than American and European competitors. Toyota's production philosophy dated back to work by Taiichi Ohno and Eiji Toyota between 1948 and 1975, prioritizing quality above production speed at every step. Any employee could stop the entire production line to address a quality concern, which is something you'll never see at a modern plant chasing quarterly numbers. These engineering principles delivered results, which raises an obvious question. Why did the industry walk away from them? The answer involves something no automaker could fight. How regulations changed everything. Emissions and safety mandates piled up over 3 decades until electronic complexity became unavoidable, and the numbers reveal exactly how dramatic the change became. Cars built 30 years ago ran on 10 to 15 electronic control units executing a few thousand lines of code. Modern vehicles carry 80 to 150 electronic control units running over 100 million lines of code, which adds up to more software than a Boeing 787 Dreamliner and an F-35 fighter jet combined. January 1, 1996 marked the moment everything accelerated, when OBD-II became mandatory for all U.S. gasoline vehicles. That single regulation forced standardized 16-pin diagnostic connectors, standardized trouble codes, catalytic converter efficiency monitoring, and misfire detection, pushing manufacturers from 8-bit to 32-bit powertrain modules and requiring dual oxygen sensors in every car. European emissions standards kept stacking requirements through the following decades. July 1992 brought Euro 1 mandating catalytic converters on all petrol cars. September 2009 delivered Euro 5 with mandatory diesel particulate filters. Euro 6 landed in September 2014, demanding a 67% reduction in diesel nitrogen oxide emissions and forcing manufacturers to install selective catalytic reduction systems with urea injection. July 1, 2025 brings Euro 7, adding brake and tire particle limits plus battery durability requirements. CAFE fuel economy targets kept climbing throughout this period, starting at 18 miles per gallon in 1978, reaching 27.5 by 1985, with the 2024 final rule targeting 50.4 miles per gallon by 2031. Hitting those numbers meant turbocharged small displacement engines, direct fuel injection, and variable valve timing became standard across every lineup. Direct injection jumped from 2.3% of US production in 2008 to 50% by 2016. Electronic throttle control debuted in the 1988 BMW 7 Series and became universal by the mid-2000s, completely killing the mechanical throttle cable that any shade tree mechanic could understand. Safety mandates added still more complexity. September 1, 1998 brought mandatory airbags. September 1, 2012 required electronic stability control. May 1, 2018 mandated backup cameras, and automatic emergency braking arrives in September 2029. Each of these systems demands electronic control units, sensors, wiring harnesses, and software layers, which explains exactly how 100 million lines of code ended up in something you drive to work. Credit where it's due, these regulations saved lives and cleaned the air. NHTSA data shows 613,501 lives saved between 1960 and 2012 by vehicle safety technologies. Fatality risk in an average 2012 vehicle dropped 56% compared to late 1950s vehicles. Automatic emergency braking cuts rear-end collisions by up to 50%. Volatile organic compound emissions fell by over 99% in the last half-century. All that complexity came with a price tag, and that bill arrives every time a modern car needs repairs. The reliability problem with modern cars. The 2024 Vehicle Dependability Study from J.D. Power surveyed 30,595 owners and found the industry averaging 190 problems per 100 vehicles, higher than the previous year. What matters more is how problems increased 17% between 90 days and 3 years of ownership, up from 12% the year before. Reliability is declining faster than it used to. Infotainment systems claimed the top problem spot at 49.1 problems per 100 vehicles, nearly double the second highest category. Touchscreens, software, and connected features account for most of the failures. Battery electric vehicles posted the highest problem rates at 256 problems per 100 vehicles, with gasoline vehicles coming in lowest at 187. Tire replacement rates for EV owners ran nearly double those of gas car owners too, hitting 39% versus 20% within 3 years. Repair bills have climbed right alongside this complexity. Kelley Blue Book pegs the average 2025 repair at $838, with costs jumping 15% in the steepest annual increase ever recorded. Deer strikes that counted as fender benders 15 years ago now run $1,500 to $2,000 higher because of sensors packed into modern bumpers. Gearbox electronic control unit repairs average around $1,750, having climbed almost 8% year over year, and electrical and electronic systems now represent nearly 21% of all warranty claims. A former GM powertrain engineer using the name Cello spoke to the Car Guy online YouTube channel in 2025, describing systematic cost-cutting that overruled engineering judgment at every level. His account paints a clear picture. Almost always, unless the problem was quite severe, we would be told that the cost was too high. Give me a less expensive option. And that would go on for several tiers. Engineers who kept pushing back faced consequences. Cello described what happened. As time went on, if an engineer kept coming up with expensive solutions, eventually they would be kind of not welcome to enter the discussion at all, and we would kind of be labeled as almost a problem. Academic research from Science Direct confirms the link between warranty periods and design choices. A 3-year warranty corresponds to the first 3 years of vehicle life when the vehicle is reliable. The difference being that the guarantee is a financial commitment, while reliability is a moral commitment on the part of the designer. That distinction reshapes everything. Financial obligation covers the warranty period. Everything past that deadline becomes a moral commitment no accountant will ever track. Now that we've seen why modern cars struggle to last, the question becomes whether extreme longevity remains possible at all. The million-mile cars. Patterns emerge when you study the cars that actually last forever, and the data reveals exactly what separates them from everything else. Irv Gordon accumulated 3,260,257 verified miles on his 1966 Volvo before dying on November 15, 2018, and Volvo tracked every bit of maintenance along the way. The numbers add up to 107,400 gallons of gasoline, 667 oil changes, 829 oil filters, and 156 tires over the car's life. Only 2 engine rebuilds happened during those millions of miles, and mechanics declared the first one at 680,000 miles unnecessary. Original engine block, original transmission, original differential, all of it went the full distance. A 1989 Saab 900 SPG crossed 1,001,385 miles running its original engine and original turbocharger, requiring only a transmission swap at 200,000 miles. Matt Farah, the automotive journalist, purchased a 1996 Lexus LS400 with 897,000 miles showing on the odometer, and more than 700,000 of those miles came on the original Toyota V8 engine. What connects these vehicles comes down to mechanical simplicity: naturally aspirated engines, conventional automatic transmissions, minimal electronics, and parts any competent person can access and replace with basic tools. Vehicles from the 2000s can still rack up extreme mileage. Vic Shepherd hit 1 million miles in a 2007 Toyota Tundra, prompting Toyota to dismantle it and study what held up. Justin Kilmer passed 1 million miles in a 2006 Honda Accord V6, doing medical deliveries. Sometimes even modern car can show unexpected results. Farah Haynes crossed 1 million miles in a 2018 Hyundai Elantra within just 5 years, averaging roughly 200,000 miles annually as a delivery driver. Broader numbers from IC cars paint the full picture after analyzing over 400 million vehicles. Toyota Sequoia owners see a 39.1% chance of reaching 250,000 miles, 8 times the industry average of 4.8%. Across the brand, 17.8% of Toyota vehicles hit 250,000 miles, nearly quadruple the industry norm, and Toyota holds 10 of the top 25 longevity positions. Quality over quarterly profits drove those results, at least through this era. But even finding a reliable car doesn't guarantee you can keep it running, because another obstacle stands in the way, and this one has nothing to do with engineering. The right to repair battle. Repair information access has become the new battlefield, with the auto industry spending millions to lock you out of your own vehicle. By 2020, 90% of new cars transmitted mechanical data wirelessly, straight to dealers, bypassing the OBD-II diagnostic port entirely. Independent mechanics and home garages lost access to the same information dealers received automatically. Massachusetts Question 1 hit ballots on November 3, 2020, requiring manufacturers to share diagnostic data with independent repair shops on equal terms with franchise dealers. The yes side drew funding from AutoZone, O'Reilly Auto Parts, Advance Auto Parts, and the Auto Care Association, pouring $24.9 million into the campaign. GM, Toyota, Ford, Honda, and Nissan backed the No campaign with $26.6 million to defeat it. Voters sided with repair shops, passing the measure with 75% support. Tommy Hickey, director of the Right to Repair Coalition, laid out the stakes. This is really a fight for Massachusetts consumers. Without this information, people may lose the choice to bring their car to an independent repair shop. January 2021 brought a federal lawsuit from the Alliance for Automotive Innovation attempting to block enforcement, which finally began June 1, 2023, under Massachusetts Attorney General Andrea Joy Campbell. Why this matters for longevity comes down to who can diagnose problems. A car built 30 years ago let you read codes with basic equipment, or often just by looking and listening carefully. Modern vehicles running 100 million lines of code with wireless data transmission demand proprietary dealer software before anyone can figure out what's wrong. Cello, that former GM engineer, claimed the industry began implementing technologies by 2010 specifically designed to prevent owner maintenance. His assessment described older cars as capable of exceeding 250,000 miles, while newer models lasted an estimated 100,000 before repair costs became impossible to justify. Everything up to this point makes 30-year-old cars sound superior in every way. But before wrapping up, we need to examine the other side honestly. The honest counter-argument. Survivorship bias applies to everything we've discussed, and pretending otherwise would be dishonest. We remember the 30-year-old cars that survived because the unreliable ones got scrapped decades ago. Ford Tempo, Pontiac Sunbird, Ford Aerostar, early Mercedes M-Class, all of them became notorious for problems, and nobody writes articles about them now because they're gone. Consumer Reports started tracking reliability in the 1930s and currently surveys around 380,000 vehicles annually. Plenty of old cars earned terrible reputations from day one. Modern vehicles have become dramatically safer, with data backing that claim completely. Insurance Institute for Highway Safety crash testing began in 1995, when most vehicles earned poor or marginal ratings in moderate overlap frontal tests. Today, nearly every vehicle tested earns good. One crash test, pitting a 1959 Chevy Bel Air against a 2009 Chevy Malibu, showed the classic folding like a tin can on impact. Safety features that didn't exist 30 years ago now prevent deaths daily: electronic stability control, blind spot warnings, forward collision warnings, lane departure warnings, and pedestrian crash prevention. CAFE fuel economy standards have delivered roughly $5 trillion in fuel savings while preventing 14 billion metric tons of carbon emissions. Calling modern cars worse in every way misses the truth. They're safer, cleaner, and more efficient than anything from 3 decades ago. What changed fundamentally is the character of durability itself. Simple mechanical reliability gave way to electronic complexity. Owner repairability gave way to dealer-dependent diagnostics. Over-engineering margins gave way to warranty period optimization. Everything covered today traces back to one fundamental shift in how cars get designed and built. Anyone watching this video probably knows all of this instinctively. You've felt the difference between turning a wrench on a car with room to work versus staring at a plastic engine cover trying to figure out how to reach the spark plugs hidden underneath. Whether cars have become more technologically advanced isn't the question, because obviously they have. What matters is whether that advancement serves long-term ownership or serves warranty period optimization and regulatory compliance instead. The data points toward the latter, which explains exactly why 30-year-old cars remain on the road while some new ones already have problems. Here's the question though: what were petrolheads going to drive in another 30 years? Would it be the same 60 years old Beamers and Toyotas? Or would we consider today's cars as cars from golden era? Let me know in the comment what you think about it. Thanks for watching. If you found this useful, subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you in the next one.